Wednesday, 10th of June 2015. Paper highlights. First, let's look at the paper highlights from Daily Mirror. UPFA wants more MPs on FPP. Cabinet decides to elect 125 on the FPP system, 75 on the DPR system and 25 on the national list. The United People's Freedom Alliance yesterday urged President Maithripala Sirisena to increase the proportion of MPs who would be elected according to the first-past-the-post system under the proposed electoral reforms. This request had been made at a UPFA parliamentary group meeting. Cabinet decided on Monday at a special session to draft the new legislation on electoral reforms by Friday. According to the decision agreed upon at the meeting, 125 MPs are to be elected from the constituencies according to the first-past-the-post system, 75 from the districts according to the proportional representation system, and 25 from the national list. Another highlight from Daily Mirror. Inclusive. US flashes red light on crude oil from Iran. It's learned that an oil tanker carrying 1 million barrels of crude oil worth Rs 10 billion reportedly purchased by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation from Iran is heading towards Sri Lanka. A dispute is brewing between Sri Lanka and the US over an alleged purchase of fuel from Iran, which is under a global trade embargo, Daily Mirror learns. It's learned that an oil tanker carrying 1 million barrels of crude oil worth Rs 10 billion reportedly purchased by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation from Iran is heading towards Sri Lanka. More highlights from Daily Mirror. UNP will win 125 seats. Akila. The formation of a Sri Lanka Freedom Party government after the next general election is only a dream, United National Party media spokesman and Education Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam said yesterday. Another highlight from Daily Mirror. Better if he described me as a rotten labugediya. Vasu. Firebrand parliamentarian Vasudevan Anayakara, who commented on the exchange of words between him and Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, has said it would have been better if the Prime Minister described him as a rotten labugediya instead of a rotten pumpkin. Mr. Nanayakara had made this comment during an interview with the Desha newspaper. While he was questioned that, "What do you think of the Prime Minister describing you as a rotten pumpkin?" he answered that, "I can't understand what he meant. I could understand if he called me a rotten labugediya. But then I wondered whether the UNP was looking for pumpkins for its malabata, because pumpkins are usually in demand for this meal," he said. Another highlight from Daily Mirror. 12 cases to be probed. The three-member Presidential Commission investigating complaints on missing persons in the North and East has recommended that 12 cases be further investigated and legal actions taken against the miscreants involved, Commission Chairman Maxwell Paranagama said in his interim report yesterday. Another highlight from Daily Mirror. SLFP UNP to outsource their election campaigns. With a view to scientifically carrying out the propaganda work for the forthcoming polls, both the SLFP and the UNP have obtained the assistance of foreign experts. To lead the SLFP campaign, representative of a reputed Indian advertising agency are due to arrive in Sri Lanka at the behest of President Maithripala Sirisena. The UNP campaign, headed by Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, is to be handled by representatives of two foreign companies with specialized knowledge. Now let's see the paper highlights from Ceylon today. No confidence motion against Ravi. Date for debate decided today. Party leaders will meet tomorrow to discuss the date on which the no confidence motion against Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake will be taken up in Parliament. Another highlight from Ceylon today. Ratna Lanka Finances. Magistrate orders deeper probe. Additional Magistrate of Colombo Nishantha Pieris yesterday ordered the CID to conduct an intensive investigation into the large-scale financial frauds that are alleged to have taken place at the Ratna Lanka Security Company Limited, an organization established under the Ministry of Defence during the previous government's tenure. Another highlight from Ceylon today. President to decide fate of 479 in death row. The fate of those in the death row will be decided by President Maithripala Sirisena after a committee appointed to make recommendations on commuting death sentences to life imprisonment submits its recommendation to the President. Now let's see the paper highlights from Daily News. Constitutional Council. Parliament to approve civil society members sans debate. No ministers for the CC after elections. The party leaders yesterday decided to approve the names of the civil society members appointed to the Constitutional Council sans a debate in Parliament. Accordingly, Parliament is likely to approve the names today of former Court Appeal Judge A.W.A. Salam, A.T. Arya Ratna and Radhika Kumar Kumaraswamy as the civil society members represented in the Constitutional Council. Political sources said yesterday that the party leaders will meet again in the parliamentary complex today to decide on the timing for the no-confidence motion against Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake. Meanwhile, party leaders also decided to refrain from appointing cabinet ministers to the Constitutional Council to represent the President and the Prime Minister following the next general election. Another highlight from Daily News: can function with 7 members. Constitutional Council can function with 7 members, able to operate sans civil society slots. 19A has provisions to set up all independent commissions. The Constitutional Council consists of 10 members including 3 civilians, and even if Parliament fails to approve the 3 persons named to the CC, the Council still has the power to operate. It is very likely that the CC will begin to work with the 7 members, Dr. Jayampathy Wickramaratne said. He said the CC will commence work in terms of the 19th Amendment to the Constitution of Sri Lanka, which was adopted in Parliament recently. The 19th Amendment to the Constitution will have the powers to establish all independent commissions, he said. Another highlight from Daily News: electoral reforms run into snag. Tamil group rejects formula. The Tamil Progressive Alliance, a combination of 3 political parties, say they reject the formula endorsed by the cabinet on electoral reforms presented through the 20th Amendment to the Constitution on Monday. TPL leader Mano Ganesan said the 3-party alliance has called an urgent meeting of the Assembly of Minor Parties on Thursday to discuss the latest developments and come up with their own formula. The cabinet had approved an electoral system for a 225-member parliament where 125 MPs will be elected from first-past-the-post system, 75 from the proportional representation system, and the remaining 25 members coming through the national list through the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. Another highlight from Daily News: electoral reforms have shortchanged minor parties. Cafe. Election watchdog Cafe yesterday said that in the electoral reforms approved by the cabinet on Monday, minor parties will be affected by limiting electorates. Cafe chief Ranjit Kirti Tennakone in a communique said his organization welcomes the cabinet of ministers approving the 20th Amendment to the Constitution. However, by sticking to 225 MPs by reducing the number of electorates to 225, the electoral reforms limit the representation of minor parties with a geographically dispersed voter base. Another highlight from Daily News: BBS cancels meeting with CB governor following positive response. Previous government was silent and created background for growth of extremists. A scheduled meeting with the central bank governor was cancelled by the Bodubala Sena organization as there had been a positive response from the governor to the letter sent to him asking permission to meet him to discuss about the Sharia banking system. BBS General Secretary Venerable Galagoda Atta Gnanasara Thera said. More highlights from Daily News: UNP not a chauvinistic party. Akila. The United National Party will win the upcoming general election with the bulk of the Sinhala Buddhist vote, UNP spokesman and Education Minister Akila Viraj Karyavasam said yesterday. He said the UNP is not a chauvinistic party and it's a party of all people irrespective of racial and religious differences. Another highlight from Daily News: revenue increased by 21% in first 5 months. Harsha. Internal revenue increased during the first 5 months this year by 21% in comparison to the corresponding period last year, Economic Affairs and Policy Planning Deputy Minister Harsha D. Silva said yesterday. We brought you the paper highlights from today's newspapers and we will bring you more tomorrow.